All right. That was a little indulgent. Um, it was a little indulgent. I really like that theme, I really like that theme, and it's challenging. It's challenging to play that theme and like do whatever you want in between that, and so that's what I was trying to do there. Anyway, what's up, folks? My name is Steve Holmes. Thanks for hanging out. This is the live drum stream we've been doing for a while now. Pardon me. It's a good workout, this whole drumming thing. I recommend it. It's a good workout mentally. It's a good workout physically. And I appreciate folks hanging out. We've been doing this for a while now, a little over a year. Well over a year now. We've been doing live streams pretty regularly, and they're all archived and saved on my YouTube channel. So if anyone's interested in going back and seeing things that we've talked about in the past or things that we've played in the past, by all means, please check out my YouTube channel. There's a playlist there called Steve Holmes Drum Lessons. There's a ton of videos. There's another playlist of performances, and so there's a lot of information there. If folks are interested in that, please go to the channel. Please subscribe. Do that stuff. Welcome to the stream. I just kind of wanted to dive right in. I actually played for a lot before I started streaming to see if I even wanted to stream, and I was struggling to get to a place where I felt comfortable playing for people, and then got off the runway a little bit, and so quickly just like, all right, let's hit the button, because once you know you're streaming, it kind of motivates you to play even better, I guess is the word. Anyway, cheers. Rocking the Pro Drum Shop t-shirt today. This is a new t-shirt because this is a new snare drum. Yay! I did it. Stan at the Pro Drum Shop was nice enough to order a Dunnett titanium snare drum for me to check out. And so we went to the store yesterday and checked it out and quickly realized that I wanted it. So thanks to Stan at the Pro Drum Shop. Thanks to Ron Dunnett for making it. Ron doesn't even know I exist or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with it. It's got a very unique sound, and we're still getting it dialed in. Normally, I don't do the thing where I like turn off my snare springs and improvise with that. I tend to roll my eyes when folks do that, but I wanted to try that today because I thought it would force me to approach different things and play different things, and it kind of did. And transitioning to that, and then putting the snare springs back on and going back to that, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different energy. And so instead of like thinking it's dumb, I thought I would like dive into the pool and see what would happen if we turned off the snare spring. So I have no idea how it sounded. Hopefully it wasn't horrible. All right, so we are streaming live right now to Facebook, to YouTube, to Twitch, to Twitter, to various places, and folks leave different comments. So we go back and we read the comments to see what folks are saying. Matthias is here on YouTube. Matthias is an amazing drummer. Matthias, I know Matthias recently did his own live stream, which was really, really amazing. If you're not familiar with Matthias, check out his stuff. His last name is it's Knorr. I apologize. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, even though Matthias on his stream was like, here's how you say my name. Matthias, longtime supporter, amazing drummer. Definitely check his stuff out. Jerome Davies says, hey, Steve, on YouTube. This was a while ago now. I like hearing the snare buzz and fingers tapping on the snare too. Oh, yeah, I don't do that a lot. Like using your fingers on the snare. We watched a clip here a while ago of Jimmy Brandley playing a killer halftime shuffle, and he was kind of ghosting, the traditional halftime shuffle ghost notes, but he was kind of doing it with his fingers and then doing the backbeat with the cross stick, I believe, and that was really hip. Matthias, new camera angle, the overhead thing. I mean, it needs to be improved, this camera angle, because you can't really see the left hand, and it's like, hey, for this side of the kit it's great, but if stuff's happening kind of over here, then it's not so great. So, but we're working on it, you know. We are working on it. We might adjust it a little bit. Let's see. Very tasty. Alan says, Alan, thank you very much. Incredible playing says flea market floppy disk on YouTube. Thank you very much. Let's see. Rick Hodes on Facebook says, very nice, Steve Holmes. Thank you, Rick Hodes. Alan on YouTube says, I love the sound and feel of the bass drum and great beat placement. Thank you. Let's see. Also, nice balance of busy playing and using space, dynamic range, while also allowing viewers, listeners to follow the groove. Really appreciate that. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about, like, you know, I don't like to just, like, I like to, whenever I'm improvising, it's kind of along a path of groove. You know, it's like we groove for a while, we play stuff, we go back to the groove, we play stuff. You know, that's just my tendency. You know, I notice a lot of guys that I like, you know, the drummers that I like, they can just blow and play solos, like, without playing an actual groove. And that's neat, but I can't do that. I mean, I can, but I prefer not to. Let's see. Jerome Davis says, I like. Let's see. Angel Coat on Facebook says, I always love the random yells. Yeah, I call those brain farts, you know, like if you're trying to do a thing and it's like, it's not, you know, you can't quite get there. And I'm like, you know. Let's see, more compliment. We don't need all the compliments. I appreciate all the positive feedback. Congrats on the new Dunnett, says Michael Parker on YouTube. Thank you. We're still getting it dialed in. The snare we've had for quite a while on here. We were using a pearl brass snare, which is right here. But yeah, trying out the new one. Really liking it. I had one for a long time. I may have mentioned before. I had borrowed a Dunnet snare from my friend Sammy J. Watson, who's an amazing drummer. For years, he had loaned me his drum, and I had gotten quite attached to it, but eventually he had to take it back because he hates me. Just kidding. Hey, man, I don't even know if I would want to loan mine out at this point, so I appreciate him loaning me his. The ride sounds great, says John Vinther on YouTube. John, this is the best ride ever. Zildjian 20-inch K custom dry light. Custom dry light ride, 20-inch. This thing, man, any style. If you know how to drive this car, this thing will drive you anywhere. This is, love this cymbal. And I've got other rides that I really like, but man, when I come back to this thing, it just feels like home, you know. Feels. Let's see. Jerome Davis says, have you thought about doing a drum roll with your fingers to imitate a snare drum roll? No, I haven't. Snare sounds really good. Glad to hear it. Thank you. Steeple Hammer 1 on YouTube says, hey, Steve, has Billy Cobham ever been an influence on your playing? Man, an influence? You know, I can say that Billy has inspired me in terms of his groove. You know, I first saw Billy on the Zildjian Day, you know, the old VHS Zildjian Day 1984 with Steve Gadd and Vinny and Tommy Campbell and Alex Acuna. And Billy's on there, and man, the way Billy plays groove, and it's not like just what you hear come out of his drums is just part of it. It's like seeing him play. You could tell that he's like really personifying what he plays as he plays it. You know, like Gadd's kind of the same way. But man, it's just, I had not seen someone put so much like desire and effort into a groove at that point. And you can hear that get passed on, you know, to the whole next generation of drummers. You know, obviously Dennis comes to mind. Dennis is another favorite guy. Not so much for his chops, which are obviously amazing, but his groove. I love Dennis because of his groove, like in terms of aspiring to like, oh, you know, traits of Dennis or Billy that I would like to, you know, whatever, scoop into my drumming DNA. It would definitely be the groove stuff. And I had the rare opportunity to be part of a drumming camp years ago that I taught at, and Billy was one of the teachers, but we kind of crossed paths or didn't cross paths rather, and I never had a chance to speak to him. But it was certainly an honor to be on the same bill, the same event. It was a thing called Rhythm Retreat. This was years ago now. It was Billy Cobham and myself and Dave Weckel and someone else I forget maybe. Anyway, that was super fun, and yes, that's Billy. Stanin's Law Romanowski says, hello, Steve. Glad to see you playing again. Awesome. We're doing it on Sunday this week. Jerome Davis on YouTube says, I've heard some people who can do a drum roll with fingers and imitate a snare roll. Lots of people talking about this, or is this the same guy? It's Jerome Davis is like, snare roll with fingers. Oh, man. Okay, Jerome. We hear you. Let's see. Caesar on Facebook, Caesar Castillo Lazo says, hey, Steve, that snare drum sounds great. Do you prefer 6.5 deep snare? I don't have a preference in terms of like the exact specs. I'm not really a huge gearhead. I'm like, oh, dude, 6.5 snare drums for life. I mean, I'm just more like, does it sound good? Is it popping? Is it cracking? Does it sound good in the context of what I'm trying to do? You know, if it was an inch or two shorter or bigger or longer or whatever, I'd be okay with it. But I believe the titanium, the Dunnett titanium, it's I don't know the various sizes, but 6.5 is like the standard, I think. So, and this thing was really light. I mean, it's a great drum. I'm enjoying it so far. We might go back to the Pearl Brass at some point, or I need to reach out to Yamaha and get something from them, a snare drum from them. I think that's what's next. Greg Crane. We need to resume our conversation. But right at the beginning of the pandemic, I reached out to Greg and I was like, hey man, like, you know, it's new snare drum time, and we were gonna, you know, connect, and then the pandemic like went into full swing, and so I need to resume that conversation. That would be super cool. Let's see, another influence question from Alan on YouTube. Were you into Joel Rosenblatt back in the day? He was roommates with Weck, if I recall correctly, says Alan. Yeah, Joel is on that first Michel Camilo record that I talk about a lot, the first self-titled one. One of the early ones, rather. It was certainly was not his first recording, but Joel and Weck both are on that CD, and Joel plays amazing on there. And I actually had the occasion to meet Joel in the early 2000s. I played a jazz festival, and Joel was there playing with Spyro Gyra, and I remember he showed me it was under a tarp, his kit. It was this cool Tama kit, and we kind of geeked out for a minute, and he showed me his stuff, and you know, just had a good little hang there. So yeah, and I've seen lots of videos of Joel, and he's a great drummer, absolutely. Matthias is all in favor of me getting a recording custom aluminum. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Maybe that'll be next for the next snare drum. But for now, we begin a new era of the Dunnett. Yeah, search for Spyro Gyra's song Parity Latino. Joel's brilliant on that one, says Ryan. Okay, yes, everyone, and myself included, we'll be sure to check that out. We'll be sure to check that out. So I'm going to continue to do a little playing, not so much like in a performance context, but I'm just going to kind of like practice, for lack of a better term, in front of people here. And I kind of want to get back to, there's this kind of paradiddle phrasing thing that I like to go back to once in a while. That's helpful and often yields cool phrasing in different subdivisions. And so it's basically just combinations of paradiddles. And a lot of times when there's a para, or a para rather, then I'll split those notes up between the hand and the foot. So if it's like paradiddle, it'll be like hand foot, instead of hand. Instead of hand, it's hand foot, right, for the para. And that won't be something that happens all the time, but it'll be something that I'm just experimenting with, okay? So I'm going to do a little bit of that, just for my own sanity. Oh, let's do the multicam for this one. Multicam. Let's be sure to turn off the talking mic, Steve, and turn on the drum mics. Anyway, I didn't feel like doing a whole bunch of talking today. I just wanted to kind of sit down and give the hands a workout. So that was just a lot of improvising with paradiddle stuff, you know. Sorry. I've been meaning to do another like proper video on that, like breaking sticks. No, a proper video on like improvising different phrases over 30-second notes or 16-note triplets using paradiddles. And I did a video a long time ago on that, talking about 30-second notes only, and there's like maybe 5 examples with a transcription, actually. That's pretty cool. But since then, I've gotten, you know, even more use out of it. I've wanted to kind of do like a proper video, and I thought that was a good topic. Anyway, yeah, thanks for hanging out, folks. Evan Pictures on Facebook says, what mics are you using on your kit? Most of the mics are from a cheap AKG package of mics called the AKG Groove Pack, which I don't even think they sell anymore. The tom-tom mics and the kick drum are from that. The overheads are not. The overheads got upgraded a while ago, and I don't I don't know the name of them. They're like the oh, I forget the name of them. I had the, like, I kept the literature that comes with the microphone. I kept it here so I would have it. But I replaced the overhead mics, and I took the old overhead and I put that like I put that in the corner for kind of a room mic back there. You can see I just have one room mic. But yeah, the mics are pretty cheap. The snare, it's just an SM57. The hi-hat is just some cheapo condenser mic. I literally got a Guitar Center for like $100. It's also an AKG. The mics are not like high-end here. This is not like, yeah, this is not like super high-end. The overheads are kind of high-end, but other than that, everything else is kind of on the cheap, if you will. Dirk with some kind words. Thank you, Dirk. Dirk Lorenz Matheson on YouTube says, yay, amazing, next level phrasing. Thank you. Stanislaw Romanowski says, can you show a couple examples of how to use groups of 3, right, left foot, or foot, left, right, in 16th trading? 16th, like 16th notes, 16th note triplets. Like, you got to be specific about your subdivisions. Dirk says, by the way... Dirk says, by the way, let's see. Have you soundproofed your drum room? My drum room is, it's not 100% soundproofed, but it's close. It's close. And when I soundproofed the room and I first brought the drums in here, I had to quickly learn about sound treatment, which is different because I was so concerned about containing the sound and not bothering people close to me that once I got the drums in here and I started playing, I was like, wow, it sounds like garbage in here. So I got a bunch of bass traps from, I think, GDK. A bunch of bass traps. Let's see if I can show you. There's several. You can see one there behind me. There's one up on the ceiling there, kind of in the corner. They're all over the place. There's one behind this camera. They're all over the place. And the room is not like, you know, a lot of drum rooms and studios and stuff. There's just so much sound absorption going that it just sounds completely dead, which is good for recording, right? For like professional recording. But I managed to get that. Like, I had so many bass traps in here that it sounded like completely dead, and I didn't like that. And so I kind of rearranged things and kind of made the room breathe a little bit, you know? I needed it to breathe a little and not just be a vacuum, you know? Because this is not for me to record tracks for like other people. This is for me to play and enjoy myself. So I need it to sound good. So yes, to answer the question, it is pretty much soundproof. Let's see. The stack on the right of the hi-hat sounds to my ears like the one Cliff Elman uses. Which cymbals does that use? Yeah, we're talking about, let's see, this guy right here. This was cool, actually, on a stream months ago now. We brought out a bunch of cymbals, and I tried different stacks, and we got feedback from the stream, and we kind of, as a group, you know, picked the best sounding cymbals for this stack. And this used to be over here, but then I replaced that and moved this. But to answer your question, this is what I call like shaky shells. The drummer for Hiatus Coyote had these in a video that I saw, and so I got them to try them out because that guy's amazing, and so is that band. If you haven't seen Hiatus Coyote, and I wish I knew that guy's name. I'm sorry, I don't. Anyway, this is a 10-inch trash former that's got a little bite out of it because I was hungry one day and I didn't have any snacks. I was like, and this is actually a very heavy bottom 12-inch Master Sound hi-hat. And I like this because this really makes it cut, you know, almost too much. I kind of think this is almost too loud, actually. This stack really cuts. But this is a 12-inch Master Sound hi-hat, believe it or not. And you can see it's got like those ripples and yeah, this is it. So we got that stack, and then we kind of do like one felt, and then the shaky shells, and then another felt. That's how we do it. You got to be careful with the shaky shells because they will, like, if you hit one, it'll shatter. And next thing you know, you got shaky shells, pieces flying all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I like this stuff. You know, these stacks because they kind of like, you know, they promote new ideas and they promote creativity, basically. And they can breathe new life into existing stuff. You know, your same old stuff. You know, you throw it on some stacks and stuff. And these are actually very old and very broken crash cymbals, large crash cymbals. This is like, oh, man, I don't know how big these are. These are like 18s. These are like two old, broken 18-inch crash cymbals on an X-hat, basically. And I like the sound, you know. Sorry, I dropped my stick earlier, and I'm trying to find like the stick I dropped, not another stick, the stick I dropped, and I'm not. I think this is it. I don't know. My sticks are so chewed up, man. Chad at Vader. We got his hawk. I gotta like get something going here. Anyway, I love my stacks, and I need to take more advantage of this guy during grooves. You know, like that's one of the benefits of like once you incorporate like ghost notes into your playing, you can take those ghost notes and you don't have to ghost them. You can play them like at volume, like on different surfaces, on the hi-hat, on a stack, and you know, let's see if we can get something like that going. You know, because I need to take more advantage of this stack. See some, you know, for me, kind of original-ish stuff. Other that's just the same old crap that I'm playing. But like, you know, hey, put one hand on the thing and it sounds different. You know, it's a little loud, I think. You know, and I like the you know, playing the backbeat with this, like with just nothing, like nothing before it. You know, boom, you know, it kind of you know accents the backbeat a little more, you know, than anything else. Sorry, I bludged it on the thing at the end. I apologize. I apologize for that. There was no need for the bludge though on that. Anyways, that's me like playing the stack, trying to do different things. Different things. Matthias. Okay. Yeah. So we're here. We're drumming. We are drumming. What else? What else you got? What else you got? It's 1:37 here in Los Angeles. Done a pretty fair bit of drumming actually. Maybe we'll call it unless folks. Oh, actually, someone asked about groups of three. Stanislaw, examples of how to use groups of three, right, left foot, in 16th trading. Man, I mean, that's just kind of the real question there is it's getting familiar with how groups of three sound in every subdivision. Groups of three quarter notes, groups of three eighth notes, groups of three eighth note triplets, which should be easy enough. Groups of three 16th notes, which will put you, you know, a dotted eighth, 4/3. Groups of three quintuplets, which I'm not going to do because I can't do. Groups of three 16th note triplets, which is easy enough. You're just going to accent the eighth note. But the coordination, you know, Redstone Way on YouTube says, how about them Swiss Army triplets? Yeah, I mean, like once you apply different stickings to the same group of three, you know, like for example, like groups of three over 16 note triplets. Actually, I was thinking of groups of four. Sorry, I was thinking of groups of four. I mean, groups of, you know, 16 note triplets is like pretty easy. I mean, the thing with groups of three over triplets is like, well, is my foot on the downbeat? Like what limb is on the downbeat? That's really the big question. You know, and I like to keep my bass drum on the downbeat when I'm playing, you know, foot right right, whatever, just so I don't have to worry about doing a double kick to come out. You know, like this. I mean, this will probably sound horrible, but You know, if you just stomp eighth notes and put right left in between, you're playing 16-note triplets. You know, that's easy enough. You know, it's not so much like, oh, groups of three. It's like, you know, it's a bunch of different stuff like chained together, you know, towards the end there. And I thought about doing a stream, like maybe the next stream or something. I know I'm literally I got to transcribe. That's the thing it's kind of silly to share, like sticking, like if you don't have it transcribed for people to download, you know. I mean, I'm happy to share the sticking of stuff on here if folks want to like pause it and write it down, but it's like I just don't have the time to like transcribe things and save them as PDF and stuff, you know. But the thing with like groups of three over 16th notes, you know, if you turn those groups of three into a 5-stroke roll, then that's super cool. By 5-stroke roll, I mean like you're doing like right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left over 16 notes, right? You know, get used to how that feels. You know, usually if you're accenting something, that's going to go over the bar line, which means the accents are going to resume past one and people are going to get lost. You know, then usually I'll just play like 3 counts worth, and then on the count of 4, I'll play something simple just to kind of early out, you know. And then like with groups of 3, like if it's right, left, right, the second 2 strokes, like I'll double them, you know, for like a 5-stroke roll. Like I'll just demonstrate it. So again, like, you know, someone asked about groups of 3. And so instead of doing the silly like Bonham triplet thing like I did, I thought I would come up with a simple phrase that's, groups of 3 16th notes, which is the dotted eighth. And that takes you up to the count of 4. Right? This is how I work stuff out. Like come up with a 1-bar phrase that you can use for a fill, during a groove. And, start simple. Like what are the tent poles? What are the accents? What is the phrase? The phrase is chuck, 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 chuck. So if you have your doubles together and you can play like 5-stroke rolls, there you go. You can take those 3-note groupings and turn them into 5-stroke rolls, and that sounds like you're playing all this busy stuff on the snare, but like the phrase doesn't change. A lot of the fast stuff, a lot of the complicated fast stuff, the accents, the phrase itself is almost always very simple. It's the ghosting in between that is complicated. And even that stuff is just groups of, very rarely are you doing like 3 notes with your left hand. It's usually like a double with your left hand and a single or double with the other limbs, over top of the subdivision of your choice. That's just one example of like, 3-note grouping and doing something with it, that's kind of fancy. Ryan Cox on YouTube says, what role do you feel that the multi-limb independence thing plays in real-world drumming? I ask because there are those guys, Virgil, who work for years on that stuff. I mean, I can't obviously speak for anyone else. I guess you're asking my opinion of it. I mean, I tend to not. I mean, my criteria for learning a thing is like someone else's thing or someone does. I'm like, I want to just like how it sounds. And be like, that sounds cool. I want to be the guy that plays that. Or a variation of that. Or I want to learn how to do that at least. Because that sounds tricky. And I want to know the trick, if you will. But that's step one. And a lot of the ostinato stuff, like if I'm, whatever, doing double paradiddles or groups of 5 between my left hand on a snare drum and like stomping my hi-hat, and that's the ostinato, and now I can do stuff, with the other limb. I'm not a fan of that stuff because I just don't like how it sounds. I think it sounds like this mumble jumbled thing that's not. The listener has nothing to latch onto. It's simply a thing that's like, oh, this is impressive, Sorry, I'm being beckoned for husband duties. So I'm not really, I just don't like how that stuff sounds, and the other thing about soloing over an ostinato is like the cool thing about it is like, oh, I'm soloing over ostinato. If you take the ostinato away, then what the other limbs are doing is usually not that impressive. The reason why the soloing is impressive is because it's over the ostinato, not because the solo is impressive, because you're too busy playing an ostinato, you only have a couple of hands left, and those hands or that foot is just like like it's like the simple phrasing over top of a complex. I just don't think it sounds good. And like when other guys, they'll do like the Swiss triplets like with their feet, blah 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 blah, and then like they'll play stuff over top of it. Yeah, I just don't like how that sounds, and so I've never. My ostinato is the swing pattern. That's the ostinato I like, is the ding, ding, a ding, ding, a ding, and trying to get stuff under that to swing and feel good, But it's certainly helpful. I'm sure there's tons of benefit to breaking up the independence on that super elite level, because I guarantee if you spend the time doing that, I guarantee that you'll run into other phrases that will be a lot easier because you work that stuff out, because your brain is just like, oh yeah, no problem. If there's some tricky flam thing or something where it's like, oh man, I'm not used to that sticking, that's one of the benefits is you're just getting used to more sticking, and there's a lot of value in that. So that, you're just preventing in the future, like having trouble with future things, basically. Do you play any reggae beats? No. Not that are any good. I'm very like reggae 101, bass drum on 2 and 4, close to hi-hat, like kind of cross sticky stuff in between. I'm by no means good at the reggae stuff. Okay, so yeah, we did groups of 3, etc. If anyone wants to support on YouTube, there should be a button to do that, like a super or that kind of thing. But if folks are looking for other ways to support, I put together like a link tree of just like easy links of ways to, like, you know, to support me, basically. So there's the link to the various ways. I don't have a Patreon. I'm just putting this stuff out there for kind of digital archival purposes. So if you're getting something out of this and you want to kind of give back, then feel free. You know, all the support that we get goes back into the drum room and upgrading the gear and more cameras and that kind of thing. So I appreciate that. I appreciate folks watching, folks hanging out. Normalized Audio says, so Microsoft now. Yes, apparently. For those that don't know, I work at Infinity Ward. I'm a video game designer. And the company that I work for was recently acquired by Microsoft. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Should be interesting. So yeah, keep practicing, and you know, try to take note of, you know, if you have a question or a topic that you want to talk about on the next one, feel free to reach out to me. I'm steveholmes@gmail.com. Let's see. Someone asked, on what Call of Duty are you working now, Steve? Well, I can tell you that Modern Warfare 3 is coming out soon. I did contribute to that title. A lot of folks did, and we're super excited about that game. There's some really cool stuff in there. In terms of beyond that, there's nothing announced. So that's that. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff in Modern Warfare 3. Some like new, fresh ideas. Some really cool and fun stuff. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out. We'll do this again soon. I mean, I don't plan on stopping this, especially now that we got the new snare, right? And we'll do a stream like on. I'm literally gonna be like, here's literally every cool 16-note triplet lick that I know. Like all of them, all the Gad licks, all the Weckl licks, all the Steve Smith licks. Like I'm gonna do them all, like sticking everything. And so from then on, we have it in one stream. It'll be like, this is the 16-note triplet stream. And so from now on, anyone that asks about that, we can just point them to that. Like, here it is, the complete. That's a thought I had. Because that flowing kind of 16-note triplet-y thing, you know, there was a lot of cool phrases that kind of helped get me started with that. And I thought it would be useful to like do them all in one stream for future reference. All right. So thanks for hanging out. My name is Steve Holmes. We will see you next time.